Hey, I'm Mike Garrity.
And I'm Megan Kolb.
Welcome to another 3 Wide Life. We have got a really cool show for you today. 2 Cup superstars, fan favorites, that both have grassroots teams. Clint Bowyer with the Dirt Late Model team, 2 cars really well funded with awesome drivers, and Clint puts a lot of his own personality and passion into those teams.
That's right, Mike. And then we've got Kasey Kahne. He's got a 3-car operation and he's stuck with his roots. It's a World of Outlaw wing sprint car team. Mike sits down with him to find out what it's like driving up to this beautiful shop every day that he builds.
Kasey, so we're at your sprint car team. We've talked to all 3 of your drivers. Tell me, what is it like pulling up here and seeing what you've built?
I just really enjoy it. It took a while to build what we've built here, and a lot of people were involved to make it happen, but it's something that I enjoy a lot and think about a lot. I get really excited about it. So I'm really glad that I have the teams and have the group of guys that we have right now.
You say you get excited about it. Is growing to 3 teams, has it, the workload, has it become less fun, or is it more fun now that you have different guys in here?
Well, we started with 1 team in 2006, and that was great. And then we added a team and thought that'd be more than enough. And now we have 3 teams, so it always seems to keep growing a little bit. But I think 3 is plenty for us, and then if I race once in a while on the side, I think that's plenty for what we have here at KKR. But as far as this year from last year, we didn't change a whole lot. We added an outlaw team, so Brad's team will race more this year. But overall, we have the same amount of people. We had to get a couple new engines and a few more cars and things like that to run 40 or 50 more races than what he ran last year. But it's not a huge undertaking because that team was already developed and pretty much ready to go.
When you say 40 or 50 more races, do you laugh at the people that say Cup is too long? I mean, these guys race 70, 80 times a year.
Yeah, these guys have such a grueling, tough schedule. Night after night, working on their cars in hotel parking lots. They don't come home for 4 months at a time. I mean, it's a tough deal that they have, and I actually get kind of worn out on the Cup schedule sometimes too. And then I think what my brother and what some of these other guys are doing, and it's like, man, they have more races, and it definitely could wear them out more than what ours is on the Cup side.
Night races, not a lot of sleep, and lots of travel.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of your brother, this is a family deal for you. So first, talk to me about your immediate family that works here and how cool that is to have them involved.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of always done it as a family. Right now, my sister is a huge part of KKR, making sure everything's ran the right way, and then my brother, Kale, he runs the 9-car, kind of runs that team. So they won the championship last year and have done a really nice job with Darren and the group that he has. So I enjoy working with the guys. It started with my cousins as well, and they were a huge part of building KKR, Willie and Cole. And they've moved back to California and are really into their shocks, the factory cane shocks, and making that grow, working hard to make that grow. So they're more into that right now. They still help on the sprint car side a lot, but from a distance now, and it works out pretty well. It's been good.
We came here a couple years ago and talked to you, and at the time I think your brother had just started crew chief. And how fun has it been to watch him really grow into that role and now win a championship?
Well, it's been, he worked here for a long time and worked on the teams, worked with my cousin Willie as the crew chief and Joey, and he was in different situations. So, he was ready and prepared, and he's worked really hard at it. He's put a lot of time and effort into it, and they have a thorough team that is, they just don't make many mistakes. They prepare really well, and I like that. I like what he's done, and it's fun to watch. He's impressed me, and at times done more than I expected him to do, and at other times he's done, kind of exactly what I expected him to do.
Okay, so outside of immediate family, all 3 of your drivers said the same thing. That this is a family atmosphere. Is that because of you? Is that the way that you treat people, or is it just that that's all just kind of blended together within this team?
Well, that's definitely how I want it, and I think everybody here is, kind of thinks of it the same way and works the same way. But yeah, I enjoy it, being family, the guys enjoying themselves and being able to have fun. I mean, we get to race. We have great cars and engines and opportunity to win every night. And I like that everybody enjoys that. And so we can have fun, we can relax, and then they can get really focused and race hard and do a really nice job too.
Hey there, we're back with more from Kasey Kahne. We just found out what it's like for him to have a 3-car operation and the importance of his family. Next, what does it even take to impress a NASCAR superstar like Kasey Kahne, and what does he look for in drivers?
What do you look for? Because obviously if you want to keep that mix, you have to have the right drivers. So what do you look for when you're adding drivers or when you've handpicked these guys? Is there something specific?
I think the first thing is just talent, you know, and being able to drive, being able to race, and being fast. We have that with our drivers. We've always had that with our drivers, and that's a big part of it. And then, you know, when guys come here, you kind of find their, you know, the way they look at things, and they see kind of how we do it, and slowly you just gradually kind of work together, and it's worked really well over the years. But I think right now is the strongest group that we've had, from drivers to crew members, crew chiefs. You know, it's just all around. It's really strong, and it's fun right now.
Are you one of those guys that always knew that you'd race Cup and always knew that you'd have a multi-car team? Or is this kind of, does it stop you every now and then in the parking lot and you just kind of laugh and take it all in?
I was growing up, all I ever wanted to was race, and I'm so fortunate and happy that I get to race for a living. But it wasn't always about Cup. It wasn't about IndyCar. It wasn't, you know, I enjoyed World of Outlaw sprint car racing, and that's originally what I wanted to do, was race sprint cars. And as time moved on, I did some USAC midgets and Silver Crown cars, and some of those doors opened and had the opportunity to, you know, get in a Cup car, and it's been great, and I love it, every minute of it. And because of that, we're able to have 3 great, you know, World of Outlaw sprint car teams, and so it's been nice. And I've always had my family behind me, and that's been a big part of, I think, my success and kind of learning and growing and moving up as I was able to. You know, I think a lot of that has to do with family.
Speaking of USAC style cars, I mean, you ran the Chili Bowl in a Leffler tribute car.
Yep.
Any plans to do midget, sprint cars, Silver Crown stuff, or are you busy enough with this and these guys that that's pretty much where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, our main focus, you know, main goal is sprint car race and wing sprint car racing. That's what I like the most. That's what everybody here enjoys the most. And so just trying to win races there, trying to repeat, you know, KKR, bring home another championship with any one of the drivers. And you know, that's our main focus. If I can get in a car once in a while, that makes me feel good and I enjoy it. But it's tough at times to, you know, with Mr. Hendrick and our sponsors and things, to do it and not take something away from the Cup side. So it's, you know, I haven't done it as much in the past year or 2, but I still enjoy it and really wish I could do it a little bit more.
Is this year a rebuilding year to try to let the Cup side know that this is safe over here on the wing stuff? I mean, do you think this is the year where we can bring a little more safety into the results and have those guys feel more comfortable with it again?
Well, I think that, you know, I know our team has won, and a lot of the other teams out there have looked at ways to make the sprint cars a little bit safer. You know, last year some freak accidents happened, and you know, it was a really tough year in sprint car racing. Hopefully this year doesn't have any of that. I mean, it'd be great if it didn't. So, you know, everybody's working hard to make them a little bit safer, but they're not the safest cars, and they never will be. You know, but I think as long as the teams and the drivers, everybody's focused on the things that we can control, then it definitely helps. And to me, to have my drivers, you know, happy and safe and excited to get behind the wheel, I think is our biggest goal.
You're on the Cup side with Tony every weekend. He's got some wing cars. Do you guys ever have fun poking at each other if one car beats the other, or do you is that all you talk about when you guys get together?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, if we run into each other and talking, it's about sprint cars more times than not. And you know, I've always kind of seen the passion that Tony's had for sprint car racing, open wheel racing, and he, you know, sees it with me. So I think the biggest thing is, you know, we both enjoy having our teams and kind of get excited for each other when things are going well on each side.
5 years down the road, what does this team look like?
Hopefully similar. You know, I actually really like what we have right now, and I like the people that are here. And I don't want to grow anymore. I don't want to, you know, move into any other series or anything. Like I really like what we have right now, and hopefully it looks really similar. Hopefully we have more wins and more championships in 5 years. And other than that, things are good.
It's nice to like where you are.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, thank you very much, and good luck to everybody this year, including yourself.
All right, appreciate it.
Welcome back to another 3 Wide Life. We've got Wild Child, Cup superstar, and now dirt late model team owner, Clint Bowyer. And this is a team he wishes he could have driven for back in the day. 2 dirt late models with top-notch drivers that race in the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. So let's find out, what does he look for out of this team, and how does he involve himself every day?
We race in the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. They race, that's a cool thing about it. No different than what we do on the Cup side. They're all across the board on different racetracks. Some are a lot nicer than others, but you know, they'll race 80 to 90 races a year all across the country, and they're the best late model drivers in the world. You know, I mean, it's no different than the Cup Series. It's just on a different playing field. Very, very competitive. The tire game is something that we're not used to, and you know, watching the Cup cars. And there's 15 different compounds that they have to choose from every night, and if you miss it, that's the difference between winning and losing. So, you know, it is for a younger driver. That's the one thing that I think is very hard, you know, to learn and pick up, because you just can't afford to learn. You know, you've got to be able to capitalize, and if you don't, you ain't going to be able to afford to go race. And so I always wanted to run a late model. I never got the opportunity. Somehow I got a good phone call, and my career kind of surpassed the late model deal and went on into the NASCAR ranks. But so as soon as I got some money, we were able to hire Shannon Babb, which was a Midwestern, you know, late model driver that was a lot of fun the first year, and just kind of took off from there. It's probably, I would say, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, we were having a lot of fun with it, and I wanted to build it. I wanted to have a 2-car team where they could work together and you know, benefit each other. Obviously, I like to have fun, so I enjoy being around people that like the same, you know, but when it's time to be serious and put your helmet on, I need somebody who can get the job done. Certainly, Jared Landers is that. Just a maniac, you know, off the track. But when he gets his helmet on, he's still a maniac. He drives very hard, but he's so much fun to watch. That's another thing. And the dirt racing, there's guys that are, you know, I would say a lot more calculating and you know, run around the bottom is kind of boring. Jared will get up high and you know, try to make a pass and try to move on. It might cost him 3 or 4, might cost me a car, but we were trying to go forward, and that's what I like in a driver. And then Steve Francis is just, you know, he's the guy that's solid. You know, he's going to be there week in and week out and compete for a championship, and I think he can catapult Jared into that same, you know, format. My brother Kasey and Chip and I, we never even had much of an office, so you know, we were able to get this. It was an old gym, and basically if you were going to take a napkin and draw out a race shop on it, it was pretty much what I needed, you know, and so I've always wanted to have the haulers inside and be able to unload and wash right there, because you never know what it's like outside, if it's going to be raining or cold. These guys race so much throughout the year, you just never know, and it's completely miserable to wash the mud off a car in the rain. It sucks. So to be able to have it all under one roof and enjoy all this, I get to keep some of my toys in here, and I like to work on them, but I'm always gone all the time, so I'll kind of start a project and leave a mess for them, and then come back a month later and put it back together. When you come here, you can still, you know, what I learned, you know, on the Cup side and being around those guys, those engineers, I can still be here and you know, if they're working on something or have a problem, I feel like I can still help out. But it's just a breath of fresh air to be back around that style of racing that you grew up being around, and no different than any level of racing. It's all about the people. If you don't enjoy the people you're around, you're not going to have the success, and I think we got a good group of guys that enjoy racing and enjoy each other.
Clint Bowyer obviously has a lot of passion for owning his own team and for dirt late models. He's made a really good name for himself in the Sprint Cup Series, but a couple years ago he had to make a tough decision, leaving established powerhouse Richard Childress Racing for an upstart team in Michael Waltrip Racing.
A guy that worked for my father raced motorcycles, and he had a practice track behind my dad's towing service, and we used to go back there and watch Tony race all the time, practice and ride. And one thing led to another. Andy, my older brother, got a PW50 for Christmas, and that's what got us all rolling. You know, we started in the backyard, riding around the sandbox. Next thing you know, you found a board and stacked it up on the sandbox, and you jump in the sandbox. And you know, it's just, that's what we've always done since I can remember, is race and go to the racetrack. So never in a million years would I have been able to look, you know, and tell you that I'd be racing cars. It's almost funny how it all happened. I was working at a Goodyear tire store, and my boss up and bought a car. We went dirt track racing and fell in love with it. I mean, all of us. That's the group I was hanging out with at the time. We went to the track and had so much fun, and before you know it, I was building a car for myself, and you know, with their help, and went. And next thing you know, you won your first race. The next thing you know, you getting a phone call from Richard Childers. It's unbelievable how quick that all happened. When that phone call happened, it was a little southern voice, you know, sweet as could be, asking if I take a phone call from Richard Childers. I'm like, yeah, right. And I'm looking around and look for the guy laughing, you know, behind a car, and I couldn't find anybody. I was like, wait a minute here. And I was like, you know, kept going on trying to get it out of her, who put her up to it. And she just stayed the course, about to the point where it got awkward. And, well, all right, lady, I've had enough, you know. And she put Richard on. I recognized his voice. And it was so loud in a body shop. I'm trying to talk to him, and I remember running out and getting in my truck so I could talk to him. He asked, you know, about me and said he'd been watching me, and you know, wanted me to come see him. At 6:30 the next morning, I was headed to North Carolina. From the phone call, very first phone call with Richard, to you know, a nationwide championship, and giving me an opportunity in my first Cup race. I mean, without him, who knows what would have happened, you know. Everything that I have is because of him, and taking a chance and giving me an opportunity. So, you know, that'll always be, you know, the one thing when you look back at your career or your life. I mean, that was a game changer, you know, not only for myself, but my whole family. You know, to leave again, you know, I'm a loyal person, and I'll never forget, you know, who gave me the opportunity. But I mean, Richard's my neighbor. We're still, you know, he lets me keep my plane in his hangar, and still talk to him every week, you know, and see him. So it just wasn't working, you know. He couldn't make it work on his end, and there was no way I could make it on my end. And we were like, well, guess we're fixing to turn another page in the book. And certainly, you know, going through and talking to all the teams and having opportunities and options, you know, it was unbelievable how everything, whatever meeting I had, it all turned back around, and all doors would open MWR. Now, almost to the point where you would fight it, like, you know, it can't be this simple of a decision, you know. I need to go out and explore the options, and learn as much as I can, and make the right decision. And it was like, whatever I did, just turn you right back in the same direction. You'd run into a roadblock, and MWR was standing there waiting. I remember I was worried sick. You know, before the season started, I was like, what have I done? You know, I just left Richard Childers Racing, one of the biggest, you know, racing organizations in the sport, for a young up and coming with it. Hasn't been proven, and other than just a lot of talk, hasn't really been able to produce anything. But man, I'm telling you, for the first time that I worked with Brian Patty, it was like, this is going to be good. You know, I had a very good feeling about him, a ton of confidence. We went down to Disney and did a simple test before Christmas. I mean, this was still in the freaking out stages of what have I done, you know. We went down there and had a test. The car turned left at the end of the straightaway, just like it did in the old days with the RCR guys. Didn't feel any different. I mean, I was like, it's got to be something different, you know. And same old cars, still 4 tires and a steering wheel, and making the best out of your adjustments. And certainly he helped me do that in a big way this year. Our engineers, you know, Dax, and just everybody on that team is solid. You know, we were able to capitalize on a lot of things you know, teams backing up, laying people off. I mean, we were a bunch of refugees, but there was a you know, stacked credentials for that team, and I think the results pretty much spoke for themselves. I mean, I'm telling you, the very first time that I worked with Brian, I knew we were going to have success, and maybe not as much as we ended up having at the end, but I knew it was going to be good. Thing, go out and win races for your sponsors. You know, make the chase and compete for a championship. I mean, once you've established that, there is no turning back. You can't reset your goals. That is the goal. But unfortunately, that's the goal for Brad that just won it, for Jimmy Johnson's won it 5 times, you know, Jeff Gordon, everybody. I mean, those guys are champions. They've won them before, and somehow we got to go out there and beat them.
That's it for another 3 Wide Life. Thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, thank you to everybody at KKR and Clint Bowyer for letting us come in and learn a little bit more about their passion and their grassroots teams. Until next time, make sure you're checking out our website, our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We are constantly updating with behind the scenes and in the garage content. And until your next race, keep living the 3 Wide Life.